Hello, my name is John Poley. I'm your host of the Bureau Briefings. Each month we bring you content that has been requested from customers and inquiries from the previous month. After each webinar, our live registered attendees get a link to the full recording and a brief survey that helps us quite a bit at the United States Gold Bureau because you are helping us pick the next topic for the webinar. My co-host today needs no introduction because you've been on pretty much every webinar. Joshua Hoy, one of our product managers at the United States Gold Bureau. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. Glad to be here. Today we're going to be learning a lot about BRICS.
And so you're talking about big red bricks.
No, it's a different kind of BRICS, but also one that everyone should be familiar with nowadays with everything going on.
Well, everyone should know a little bit about our company. Let's go ahead and start there.
Sounds good. So the United States Gold Bureau, we are the largest authorized numismatic bulk purchaser of U.S. mint products in the country, and we work with some of the more reputable refineries and mints across the globe. Now, as such, we can guarantee the authenticity, purity, and quality of every product that we offer. Now, we're an authorized dealer of NGC and PCGS. And the United States Gold Bureau's parent company, Lone Star Tangible Assets, was awarded full state compliance and oversight on the Texas Bullion Depository. The Texas Bullion Depository is the first and only state-administered precious metals storage facility in the country. And since 2003, the United States Gold Bureau has been able to help protect over $2 billion worth of our clients'
So everything there, that's quite the resume, but especially the $2 billion part, that's quite a bit of protection for our clients.
Absolutely, and we're happy to do it, and love talking with our people about it.
So we'll go ahead and jump into the disclaimer and today's content. Before we get started, we just want to be clear. We are not tax professionals. We recommend that you seek the advice of a tax professional for any tax-related questions. Here's the format for today's topic, BRICS and de-dollarization. You'll have Joshua and I for the next 15 minutes. Please send us the questions during the presentation and we'll get back with you soon. Now, Josh, our topic, as we mentioned, BRICS and de-dollarization. For those that are unfamiliar, you want to give our audience an introduction into the BRICS nations?
Yeah, absolutely. So the BRICS nations can be thought of as an alliance between some of the world's fastest growing economies. Now, these countries represent a large part of the global population and produce many of the world's goods and resources like oil, gold, and technology. Because of their size and growth, they have a lot of potential for trade and investment.
There's a lot of information out there regarding BRICS, but I want to know, what is the main goal of BRICS, and is it just those 5 nations?
Yes, it seems like we're getting something new with these people, with this organization every day. But with the summit around the corner, we do know some of the key topics. You asked a couple questions, so I'll make sure to cover them one at a time. Now, first, the main goal of BRICS, of the BRICS nations, is not just a simple idea. So BRICS focuses on creating a financial system that reduces reliance on Western-dominated structures like the US dollar and the International Monetary Fund. Simply put, the BRICS nations want to trade more in their own currencies, making them less affected by US economic policies or sanctions. Second, the BRICS as an alliance is expanding. So since becoming BRICS with the addition of South Africa in 2010, the alliance has doubled to 10 nations, adding Egypt, Ethiopia, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Iran.
That sounds like a lot, but are these 10 nations really capable of putting a challenge to the US dollar?
Well, as a country, we're not doing the best job of making the dollar look too good. But that's a very, very valid question. When we look at the facts, BRICS has made significant headway. The BRICS nations currently represent a 42% share of the world's population, largely due to countries like China and India, but as well as contributing approximately 32% of the global GDP. This gives the group a considerable demographic advantage when it comes to market size and labor force, and highlights the growing economic power of BRICS countries.
It sounds like a large amount of those countries that you mentioned They're well situated in oil and gas. What's on the agenda at this year's summit right around the corner this month?
Well, you're absolutely correct. So with the addition of Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates, BRICS is a major player in the oil and gas trade. Now, trading in national currencies rather than the US dollar will be an important topic at the summit, as these new members are already exploring alternative currencies in oil trade.
Alternative currencies, we hear about the BRICS specifically. It's called BRICS Pay. How would that work?
Okay, so one of the central themes of 2024 BRICS Summit is the group's effort to position itself as a geopolitical and economic counterweight to Western supremacy, challenging sanctions, governance, and the dominance of the US dollar. The currency under the BRICS Pay system is currently being called the unit. So the unit is a proposed digital asset on a blockchain-enabled payment system.
So how exactly would the unit challenge the dollar? It's a digital asset compared to fiat currency. A lot of this sounds the same to me.
Well, and if that's all it was, you'd be 100% correct. So what is being considered right now is that the backing of the unit would be shared. So 60% of the unit is proposed to be made up of the participating nations' currencies, with no one nation having a particular percentage dominance over any other. And then 40% of this currency being backed by the physical asset of gold. The use of this currency would mean less reliance on the US dollar.
Now, when we talk about de-dollarization, it's easy to say, but in all of our lifetimes, the US dollar has always been the world reserve currency. No matter how bad things got, and we know about the recent inflation spike that we had, that wasn't what we call hyperinflation or a very out of control inflation. If there is a world reserve currency change, do we have any idea what that would look like in the United States?
Well, simply put, it would reshape life in the United States as we know it. The US dollar is in demand primarily because it's used in trade around the world. The demand would fall, causing the dollar to lose value and the cost of living to increase exponentially due to the US reliance on imports for consumer goods. Now, demand for US bonds would drop, forcing the United States to start offering higher interest rates to attract buyers to the dollar. This would cause a raise in national debt, taxes, and potentially reducing public services.
Wow, that's definitely the big picture, hypothetically speaking. Do you have an idea how this would affect a family or an individual?
Gotcha. Yeah, a weaker dollar would mean higher prices on consumer goods like electronics, which are heavily imported from Asia. So a 20 to 40% increase would not be out of the question at all. Now, gas prices could eclipse $5, even $6 here in Texas. And we talk about it a lot, but food is one of the easiest indicators of inflation. Now, the average monthly grocery bill for a family of four in 2023 was a little over $1,000. We could easily see that exceeding $1,500 a month.
I mean, just in the examples we have on the screen here, I can see my clothes, my work, and my home represented. So in a nutshell, life would be twice as hard as compared to today.
Yeah, very expensive and stressful nutshell. But like we touched on this, this is hypothetical. The BRICS members often have competing national interests in very different economies. Now, while BRICS countries talk about creating an alternative global currency, the infrastructure to support this on a global scale just doesn't exist yet. While the dollar remains strong and likely to retain its global reserve status for the foreseeable future, uncertainties and long-term risks still exist. Precious metals offer a crucial hedge against both inflation and geopolitical shifts, including the push towards de-dollarization.
Joshua, I've seen that gold is over $2,600 an ounce and silver over $31 an ounce. Isn't that pretty high, especially in gold?
It's high, maybe, but it depends on how you look at it. Right now, the BRICS nations, the United States, and centralized banks all around the world are all buying gold. Gold being this high means that right now, my dollar, and by extension, everybody else's US dollar, is at one of the weakest points it's ever been in history. So I'd like to ask you, would you rather have a whole lot of the weakest version of something?
Well, my very quick answer is, of course not.
Well, that is why we recommend holding a portion of your portfolio in precious metals at all times. You can make small investments as you go along, and that'll work like a workout for your portfolio. Consistent efforts can have long-lasting returns.
Wow, this has been an interesting topic. Before going over our buyback program, we had a question come out from the last webinar that we didn't quite touch on, and actually have never touched on in any of our webinars. What are the payment methods for the U.S. Gold Bureau?
Okay, I'm actually surprised we have not mentioned that, so thank you to whoever sent that in. Very easily, the United States Gold Bureau has 3 forms of payments to try to make sure your acquisition is as seamless as possible. Now, the most common is an electronic check, also known as an ACH. We also do accept all major credit cards, and for larger acquisitions, we do accept wire transfers as well. And the wiring information can be accessible through your precious metal specialist, and we do have that information online as well. Now, the U.S. Gold Bureau has a 100% buyback guarantee. So if you do business with us, we're going to do business with you. Bullion can be liquidated at market value anytime, and for qualifying investment grade held over 5 years, our consignment program is a great option, though you can always opt for an immediate bid price in emergencies.
I'd like to point out, you mentioned it's available online. Just go to usgoldbureau.com, and we have full information on this exclusive program for the United States Gold Bureau clients.
Yep.
Today, I got a little bit worried, I got to be honest, going into this, and we actually had a record amount of registrations. I think a lot of our audience is nervous about this.
Cool.
Being the world reserve currency certainly has a lot of perks, as you've demonstrated today.
It does. But like we've mentioned, I understand the worry, but this is all hypothetical. There are still plenty of hurdles to overcome before the unit becomes a real threat, but you can never be too prepared for uncertainty.
Couldn't agree more. 24 hours after this live webinar, we'll send you an email with a link to the recording and our past webinars, some of which we referenced today. If you have a pen handy, you can contact us at 1-800-775-3504 to speak with one of our precious metal specialists. Again, that phone number is 1-800-775-3504. If you did ask a question on the webinar today, I will be sure to get that out to one of our precious metal specialists to reach out to you promptly during business hours. Joshua, thank you again for bringing down my stress level. I think that's what these webinars are about. They're very educational and covering BRICS and the de-dollarization.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all for joining.
It's very exciting to see this growing audience, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks, everyone.
Take it easy.